Hey, I'm Nathanael Lathrop with Crossword Productions, and today we are going to make Captain America's shield through Apple's Motion 5. So before we get started, I do want to mention that I started making this tutorial about 2.5 years ago, and I was going to have a sequence using the shield and everything, but it didn't end up happening. And I also want to clarify that Apple's Motion 5 was made for more animation, subtle visual effects, and 3D text. But I've found out that if you take the 3D text and kind of morph it and take certain letters and adjust them, they can look like 3D objects. So this is what this video is emphasizing on. There are lots of other 3D softwares out there. There's a software called Blender, which is free. It's not as user-friendly, but you get a lot better product through that. So, but this is just with Motion 5. So if you have that software, you can try this out, add your own tweaks, and experiment with other 3D objects as well. So let's rewind about 2.5 years and see how to make Captain America's shield. So the way we're going to make the shield is we're going to be working with the letter O. And the text, the type of font that we're going to use is the Meloric font, and mainly because the O that is in that font is very round. So this is our first ring that we're going to be using, and at first we'll just make the normal, just the shield itself, and then we'll worry about the texture once we get closer. So we have this O, and we're going to go to 3D text. So now it's 3D. And we're going to bring down the weight to somewhere around here. Make it a little bit larger. And I want to bring down the depth all the way, because we want to have this O as thin as possible. So we'll actually make this a little bit larger. Alright, so that's better. And then we're going to duplicate this. And actually what might be helpful, so we don't get confused, is make each of these O's a different color. And once we have the basic size and everything done, then we can deal with making the width of each ring about the same, since they are actually about the same width. Okay. Now we're going to do that same thing and duplicate this. This is our last ring. Make a different color first. Make this one blue. And bring this down to about here. So now I'm going to make this green one. I'm going to add some weight to it. Same with the blue. Okay, now we're going to add another O to this. But what's different about this O is we need to make it filled in. So we're going to duplicate this one more time. Make this one red. And we're going to go to font, and we're going to change the font to impact. This may look kind of weird at first, but we are going to, down here, and we're going to make the weight all the way filled in. And bring this down. And it's not perfectly round, and we won't really be able to fix that, I don't think. So then we'll make it generally the size that we need, and then we will pull it in to where it is just beneath the blue. Alright, now for the fun of it, we will start doing the colors. So we'll make this biggest one red, and we'll go down to paint, and we're going to go to car paint, which is red, and then we'll go to the green one, make this one white, actually, well, not white, we will give it more of a chrome, and let's stick with nickel. And then bring this one down, make this one car paint as well. And this last one is blue. So we will go to, we go to metal, and let's go to chrome. And we will say, actually, let's bring this to nickel, since it's a little bit lighter. And we'll go to add layer, go to paint, and do reflective paint. And then we're able to add the color in. And it's not going to be a perfect blue, but we can fix that a little bit later. Right, so now we won't worry about doing the star right now. The star is a little bit tricky. So first, we will start messing with the little fine details. For the texture of each of these, we'll stick with the car paint, but we're going to add 2 textures. Alright, so we will go to add layer, and we will go to watercolor. And now you see it has that really worn look. We don't want that too much. So we will bring the opacity down just enough to where it has a worn feel, but it's not like it's incredibly dirty. And then we will add another layer, which is scratches. And this has some scratches, but we're going to go to the second one. And that looks pretty cool, but we want to bring the scratches down quite a bit. So we will bring the depth to about there. And a lot of these little tiny details, they all really depend on preference. Alright, so once we have the scratches and the watercolor on there, the next thing that we want to do, just to give it a little bit more gloss, is to go into the reflective paint thing, which is already set up, and we want to bring the shininess up. maybe to about 70%. And if we look at the shininess this way, you can tell the difference. So I think we want to keep it, I don't know, high 60s. This is really all just preference. I think I'm going to keep it down at about 53. And now we are going to go to the silver and pretty much do the same thing. Go to the paint, go to watercolor, and then bring down the opacity for watercolor about the same. But then you'll see that these watercolor smears are all in the same spot. So then we're going to go down to placement and just mess with them a bunch to where they're not the same anymore. Alright, then we will go opacity down just a smidge more, and then we will create another layer, which is the scratches, and go to the second one, and then bring the depth down quite a bit. And do that, but then you'll see that there are scratches in the same spot, so we want to do that same placement adjustment. And then we'll do just mess with it a little bit that way. Okay. Now we will go to this last red ring and do exactly the same. Alright, so now we'll do it with this last blue part. Alright, so one adjustment that I will make to this blue one is we're going to switch the metal to chrome. It looks like chrome's a little bit harsher reflection. And we're going to do the watercolor and then bring it to blue. And this blue looks a little bit dark, but once you add the reflections, or not the reflections, once you add the lights in the motion where you want them, the blue will show up a little bit better. Alright, so add the scratches. Bring it down. And now this watercolor opacity we want to keep up a little bit. Alright, so now this looks pretty good. So now we will do the harder part of everything. So we're going to use another letter for the star. And the letter that we are going to use is V. Duplicate this and change the letter to a V. And bring it out a little bit just so we can see what we're doing. And make it quite a bit smaller. Alright, now we'll change the texture, not the texture, the material. And I think what I used for this was nickel. And now we need to find the font that will be used for this. And I don't quite remember which one it is, but this one actually might work. If we add a bunch of weight to it, looks like that works. Okay. So the star, you probably want to have a reference star just so you can make sure that you get it perfect. The last one I made ended up, it looked fine upright, but once I made the star, once I made the whole shield rotate, it ended up not looking quite as good because one of the points was longer than the other. I'm going to make this its own group and bring it up here. That way I can let's do this. All right, and we should still pretty much, yep, that V is pretty much where we want it. So now you just want to make a bunch of these, but since you're going to make 4 more of them, you might as well get your texture and color what you want. And I think I'm going to do almost exactly the same. Add the watercolor and everything. But there will be a couple things that will be different. I think I'm going to make it textured instead. And as soon as you click textured, that's almost exactly what you want, at least what I want. Probably want to bring down the depth about halfway, just so it's pretty reflective. Yeah, so that's about what I want. So I will bring down this to, we want it coming out of the shield a little bit, but not an enormous amount. Come out here, and now you just pretty much just want to try to get it as perfect as you can, because once you rotate the shield, if you have any bigger or abnormal points, they will definitely look different. Make the shield look kind of oblong or just different. Oops. I keep adding wrong thing. So I will get back to this once I've finished making the star. That's it for the tutorial. I ended up chopping it off and never finished showing you what the rest of the star looked like, so I did get the final edits in there, kind of show you what the overall result looks like. It's not the best. You would get a lot better result in Blender or maybe even M-Object, which works within Apple's Motion 5 and Final Cut. But this is what you get with Motion 5, and you know, it's something. It's kind of fun. Definitely a fun experiment. I do hope you liked the video, and the link for my Instagram and Facebook is down below.